Holy cow! That's never been here. I am impressed. Are they doing something with this game behind the curtains? Now I'm genuinely curious. Holy crap, I've never seen a crusher in this hallway when you come in here to get Ricky's tapes. That's new. Oh, have they been working on this game on the down low? Maybe. Maybe they have. Hmm. Uh, what's that lady's name? The one that got in trouble. Well, she didn't really get in trouble, but like PlayStation people were throwing a fit because you gonna get up? Because she was playing Starfield, and I guess she works for Sony, and they wanted her fired for playing Starfield. Something about her not being loyal or something? I don't know. It was something like that. But she did this video and she was talking about fake gamers. And you know what? Yeah, I kind of seen where she was coming from, to be honest. Yeah, fake gamers. And well, I call them armchair gamers, to be honest. And essentially what she's referring to are these people that spend gobs of hours on the internet and they watch like YouTube videos and stuff on video games. They're probably the number one consumer of negative video game videos on the internet. And then they get into conversations about a game and they act like they know all about the game. So they'll get into arguments with people about games because they watched a bunch of stuff on YouTube and they think that makes them almost like experts on a game they haven't played. Right? You see it. You do see it. But she was complaining because like these fake gamers tend to show up in like her comments. She believes that like 2023 was a good year for gaming. I agree. I believe 2023 was a great year for gaming. It was. Yeah, some really great titles that came out this year. My gosh. I almost feel spoiled from all the variety of awesome video games you can play now, thanks to 2023. And she got a bunch of people. She got a bunch of people sitting there talking about how 2023 was absolute shit for gaming. There are no good games. They're all crap. They're all terrible. And then they started yammering on about, like, I don't know, Gollum, Kong, what was it, the day before, right? As prime examples of how awful 2023 was. And that's why what inspired her to do the video where she was talking about fake gamers. You know, people who just essentially maybe they do play video games. Maybe they do, but they're not playing the games they're whining about, right? They're just watching YouTube videos that are convincing them how awful games are. So she proposed a theory, and I agree with her. Holy crap, like it was an epiphany, actually, because she was talking about how she believes that these awful games that we saw in 2023 is part of a marketing strategy. Because it is true. You come out with a video game, and it's so bad that everybody wants to buy it to talk about it. And you don't even have to put in hardly any effort at all. People are just would she say, boosting the signal. She called it boosting the signal. And yeah, the signal gets boosted, and people will talk about the day before. They'll talk about Kong, and they'll talk about Gollum, and they'll just absolutely just blow a gasket over these games, and they'll cover them extensively. It's just free publicity, and then they can rake in tons of money on a game they didn't even bother finishing. Right? Imagine that. Minimal effort, maximum profit, because they know people on the internet are going to buy it just so they can talk about it and whine about it. And that is a brilliant marketing strategy. Holy crap. So yeah, like what was it? Yeah, Gollum, uh, Kong, and then Walking Dead, day before. Absolutely awful, atrocious games, but they made somebody money because they put in so little effort, and they knew that they could easily bank. Maybe, I don't know, how much did the day before make? It was widely known there was something very suspicious about that game from the start, and yet people bought it. They still bought it. And probably in the back of some people's minds are thinking, I could start a successful YouTube channel off of discovering how awful this game is. And like that, or just simple curiosity, somebody be like, hey, I want to buy this game. I want to play a shitty game too, right? So this negative culture that we find on YouTube that goes into a game automatically looking to be negative about it from the very beginning has it. I, I'll bet you she's right. I'll bet you anything there is a marketing plan that takes advantage of the negative content on the internet to where they can make the most money without putting hardly any effort into the work. And that's how you're getting games like Kong and that stupid Walking Dead game. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of those games coming in 2024 because negative content creators on YouTube have created a brand new business plan for the gaming industry. They're going to feed them those terrible games that they yearn to talk about, and they're going to get maximum attention for it, rake in profits, go home pockets full of money. You notice I didn't talk about The Walking Dead or Kong or Gollum or the day before on my channel. Not really until now, I don't think. And that's because I had no intention on covering those games. It seemed pretty obvious to me those games were not going to be very good. They didn't seem fun. They seemed like trashy cash grabs. Well, the day before is PC exclusive, but no, there was just no way I was going to waste my time, money, and energy on playing a game I knew was broken and not worth my time, and I certainly wasn't going to talk about them either. But I did notice, like, whenever these games would launch, like, my algorithms would just explode with all kinds of content covering these awful games. So I could definitely see where there'd be a business model for that. Yeah, let's work on a game for about a year or so. It'll be a recognizable IP, and we'll rake in tons of money because people will just complain about it, and it will just send this game straight into the stratosphere to where everybody's heard about it. And I'm assuming that they got this inspiration from like what happened with Cyberpunk, Fallout 76. Um, Valhalla is a really good example, wasn't it? Like it got tore to pieces in some regards by content creators on YouTube, and it turned out to be one of Ubisoft's most successful releases. And it was probably because people could not stop talking about the game. So curiosity seekers bought it and decided they liked it for what it was. And so I think that that could be a new business strategy. So to that, I would say make sure you're extra, extra, extra super duper cautious when going into 24 because you don't know whether or not you're going to get stuck with one of those cash grab games that's just designed to make YouTube content creators mad so they'll talk about it, right? So just you're going to have to do a little extra research to make sure that you don't get stuck buying a video game that was just simply it was broken by design. So that way it would get content creators talking about it, right? But that has spawned a counterculture of, or I'd say a side culture of fake gamers, people who are addicted to watching hundreds of hours of videos on YouTube talking about video games, right? And then think they're just like a connoisseur of video games because they spend so much time watching freaking videos on YouTube about them. They're just a connoisseur all of a sudden, and they will, they'll literally sit there and tell you that like all games are garbage, or they'll sit there and get into an argument with you about a game they don't even play. I think, but that's probably been going on long before the negative YouTube content creators came along. I mean, what was it? Dead Island is another. I mean, that's a great example of something all the way back in PlayStation 3 era. Like, be like, I love that game, man. That game's rocking. I love Dead Island. And they'll be like, what? Are you crazy? That game's garbage. And the more you talk with them, the more you realize it's just because, they watched somebody's video on YouTube. And that's why they think it's garbage. It's not that they actually played the game, right? So they don't actually know. They just watched, they saw the game through somebody else's lens. They didn't experience for themselves. That happens a lot with that happened a lot with Dead Island, and I imagine that's never going to change. But yeah, the armchair gamer or the fake gamer as she calls them. Yeah, like I think that issue is starting to really rear its ugly head because there's a lot of content on YouTube right now that just absolutely dunks on video games, even good video games. Video games that don't even get recognized for being good video games because they're either being covered by people who've already decided they don't want to like the game and they're never going to change their mind on it because being negative is what gets them views, right? They went into the game thinking uh, I'm going to hate this game, but at least I'll get some YouTube coverage on it. Right? So they weren't going into the game with an objective frame of mind. They just went into the game deciding they were going to hate it anyway. And then you get this army of armchair gamers or fake gamers, as she calls them, that'll drink in that content, see the game through the lens of that content creator, and decide that how they're seeing it through that person's eyes is how the game actually is. And most of the time, if they do get into an argument with people about that video game or gaming in general, they're just regurgitating shit that they've heard online because they don't have any individual thoughts about what they're talking about, right? They're just regurgitating shit they've seen online. But yeah, she brought up some really great points in that recent video of hers. I can't remember her name. It's the lady who got the scandal about her playing Starfield. PlayStation fanboys were just absolutely furious with her for daring to play a game that was not on PlayStation or something to that effect. Poor girl. But yeah, that video about fake gamers that she just posted a couple days ago or yesterday or whatever, that was right on the money. Like, I'm like, wow, that's very insightful. Totally on point. Again, I call them armchair gamers, but she calls them fake gamers. Either way, like, she's not wrong. She's out of line, but she ain't wrong. Anyway, yeah, fake gamers. Yep. And negative content creators on YouTube giving rise to the possibility of a brand new business model in gaming where they make bad games on purpose because you're going to talk about them and you're never going to shut up about them. And that's going to give them all the promotion they need to make some sick cash, and they're doing it off the sweat of your brow. And by sweat, I mean getting, sweaty, aggravated, salty, right? They're making money off of your salt and your sweat. That's clever. It's clever. It's underhanded, but yeah, that just means that the average gamer is going to have to be a lot more careful when they're picking and choosing what games they want to play this year. Yeah, so cautionary tale. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got for now. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side. I'm going to come back to Dead Island 2. That Crusher really, that threw me for a loop. I think they've been doing some stuff behind the curtain with this game. We need to investigate, because I don't think I've ever seen a Crusher in that hallway. I really don't. I'm going to have to watch some old footage, because usually you walk into the hallway. You go into the room, there's a zombie, and then there's Farouk's boyfriend. No. No. Farouk is on the floor. Dave was in the yard. Farouk is on the floor. You kill those two zombies. I've never seen a Crusher in that hallway like that before. That gets me excited. Ooh, that gets me excited. There could be some random shit in this game now I've never seen before. Okay. So anyway, I'm done. I'm done geeking out. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side.